Here are three reasons why dating apps are bad for guys. Now, let's be clear. In this video, I'm not saying that all dating apps are always bad for guys. There can definitely be times where getting on a dating app is a wise idea, especially if you just don't have a lot of exposure to women in your community. You don't get a lot of leads. You're not asking a lot of women out on a regular basis. A dating app might be the very best thing for you. And also, if you're just really introverted and you find it very difficult to get out there and meet new women, then certainly getting on a dating app can definitely open some doors and some new opportunities for you. However, there are three main things that are bad about dating apps. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't try them. It's just that you want to have these pitfalls in mind when you get out there because it'll keep your expectations realistic and it'll also keep you solution oriented. So you know how to kind of circumnavigate around these potential pitfalls. Number one is that finding a high value, attractive woman is rare. Now, this has been my experience on dating apps. You can meet some decent women on there for sure, and some women that are fun to hang out with. But if you want to meet a woman who's truly high value and you also find her very attractive, this is fairly rare, I would say. It doesn't happen very often, I guess, in life. That's not a super common thing, but I would say even more on dating apps, it's quite rare to find somebody who you really, really connect with on a deep level. So the women that are on dating apps, they are on those dating apps for a reason. And there's a lot of argument to be made for the case that a truly high value woman who is very sexually attractive and who has her ducks in a row in her life and isn't damaged or high maintenance or things like this, um, she would normally, unless there was some sort of very strange occurrence, she would have a man in her life. She would find it fairly easy to get men and to be in a committed relationship. So there's a reason why women are on dating apps. It certainly doesn't mean that they're always damaged or not good people or anything of that nature. It's just that keep in mind, there's a reason they're on a dating app in the first place, and they're also trying to get more leads. They're also trying to get more visibility for their dating life. And there's a reason why that is. So just know that going in, it's really not that easy to find like a super high quality woman. But once again, that does not mean you shouldn't do it. Number two, the numbers game aspect of online dating can be draining. And once again, this has been my experience in the online dating world, is that it can feel rather monotonous or like mechanical, where you meet these new people, you take them out to dinner, or you do some new activity, and you're both kind of feeling it out and seeing if there's a connection there. But you find that, it's not even being pessimistic. It's just true that a lot of the time there is not a connection. And that ends up you spending a lot of time logistically and driving and getting to the date, planning it, and usually a fair amount of money, because usually the man's the one who pays for the dinner or the date, organizing dates that don't go anywhere. So you have to realize online dating is more or less a numbers game. You're going to have to sift through a lot of leads in order to get to the ones that are worth hanging out with. It's very much like in sales. In any sort of sales training you do, your close rate is going to be hovering less than 50% almost in any scenario, depending on what you're selling. Sometimes it's much worse, 5 to 10%. So you have to be willing to go into it with a lot of patience and be totally cool with sifting through some women that are definitely not going to be a very good fit, and you just wish you could end the date in 5 minutes, but you still have to hang out. You don't want to be a dick. So you kind of, feel like you're wasting your time and your money. So I certainly had many of those experiences with online dating. But that, once again, should not dissuade you from trying it, because even those experiences, they can teach you stuff about yourself. They can help you refine your skills, get better at communication, get better at kind of picking up her vibe and her signals and seeing if there's anything there. So it does give you some good in-field experience, even if it's not going to go anywhere. There can be value in it. But I would say that's up to a point. It's up to a limit. There's a certain point you hit where you just feel like you're kind of wasting your time, and it just feels draining if you're getting too many people that just are not a good fit for you. And number three, and I would say this is definitely the most important one, the context strips you of your power. What do I mean by that? Well, what I've found in my dating life, and certainly in any valuable relationships I've had with women that have truly panned out over the years, the number one way that I've met those women and that it's worked as well and as easily as it has, and for me, honestly, it's always felt like when it's worked, it's been easy. It's almost worked in spite of myself sometimes. It's just work. There's like an effortless component to it. But the one thing that was always there is I had some sort of context of value that she was introduced to on the front end before we deepened our connection. So, for instance, I was a teacher at a Chinese medicine school for a number of years, and that was one way that I met a woman that I became close with because she saw me in the context of value. She saw me as an authority, as a teacher, and I was sharing my talent, my wisdom, my knowledge with her, and that was a big, big part of what made her attracted to me. Now, remember, for women, it's definitely not always physical appearance that they care so much about. It's much more about your personality, your charm, your charisma, your competence level, and how at ease you are in your own skin. Are you unpredictable and do you have an aura of mystery about you? These undeniably important qualities that women find attractive in men are so much easier to bring out if there's a context of value. So, what that means, once again, is that you're meeting women through you being the authority in that context, through you being some sort of expert or leader, or you're offering something of value. So that can come up in many different scenarios through your work, through even social circles or sports that you play. Like if you're really good at sports and you meet a woman while kind of showing off that you're really good at sports, that goes a long ways, that all important first impression. Whereas in the online dating world, it's all random, right? Like she doesn't know you from Adam. So she doesn't know if you're a really gifted athlete or if you're an amazing musician or if you can teach or what your knowledge is. She has no idea who you are. That makes you on an equal playing field with every other guy out there, which is exactly what you don't want because it strips you of your power. It strips you of your authority positioning. And once again, dating is very much like sales, where the more authority positioning you have built in to the front end context of how you meet people, the easier it is to sell what you do or what you offer. And it's literally the same when it comes to getting a woman attracted to you. So think of ways you can establish this context of value. What can you start putting out to your community or on the internet and social media, in your work, or finding new opportunities to do this, where you can showcase your knowledge, your talent, your charisma, your charm, and let women find you through that process. So we can do more content about this topic because I think this is a really, really important one that a lot of guys struggle with. And once again, a lot of guys position themselves to be very much the equal as every other guy that women are meeting. And that makes it so, so challenging to get her attracted to you. You feel like you have to willpower your way to it. You end up feeling like you're losing your power to her. And that's exactly what you don't want. You want it to feel like the woman is, in a sense, in a little bit of awe of you, and not in an arrogant way necessarily, but more like you are genuinely showcasing your value to her. And that makes her want you. That makes her say, wow, this guy's special. He's unique. He's got some depth. I'm intrigued. He's stretching my thinking. He challenges me in a positive way. That's what a high value woman is going to be looking for. So, how can you do that? Instead of asking yourself, how can I get a woman? Or why am I not getting women? Or why does online dating suck so bad? Start to get more solution oriented in the questions that you ask. And this is a great example of that. So, position the question itself in the most constructive way that gives you control. And in this context, that would be what environment, what context can I create in my life where my natural abilities and talents and values shine through? And whether there are women at those events or not, you just start putting that out there more and more. And that becomes the way that you kind of engineer your social life. And, for a lot of introverted guys, find it bearable to do so. Because a lot of the time, men don't want to get out there and socialize too much because it feels painful for them. It feels awkward. It feels forced and tense. And if you can go into it by showcasing your value, so you're the leader, you're the authority, that makes it so much easier for most guys who are pretty self-aware or introverted. So I'll leave it at that. This is a big subject. Let me know below if you have any questions. Take a moment, if you would, to be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like this kind of content especially and you want to go a little deeper than the typical dating advice, that's what we're hitting on this channel is how do you really change as a man? How do you shift your core identity? How do you create permanent transformation so it's not just some cheesy band aid that so many of the dating channels are all about? I see your dating life as very much an opportunity for you to reclaim power, to get more confident, to really optimize yourself and, evolve into the man you're here to become. So if that's what you're all about, be sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.